Hello everybody, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming bringing you another video. Enjoying all the videos and content we produce, don't forget to click on that subscribe button, click on that like button, and don't be afraid to share. Don't forget to click on the notification button, customize it however you want, but that way you're notified whenever we publish another video.
Welcome everybody. Today we are taking a look at the Fury Warrior here in 10.0 for Dragonflight, and we're talking about the Mythic Plus build. So this is specific to Mythic Plus. If you're looking for a rating build or a single target one, that will be a different video. This one is specifically for Mythic Plus. So that being said, let's take a look at our talents. So, as this part might be a little bit long as we talk about both trees, going to throw up a video of an M0 that I did using this build. On medium AoE pulls, we were doing about 140k per pull. On larger pulls, we were doing 200k plus. I think the highest I got it up to was 233k. On single target boss fights, we're between, as long as we have our CDs up, we're around high 20, like 28 to 35k, depending. And then on AoE boss fights, we are at like 50, 60, 70k. The first triple boss here, I think I've seen as high as mid 60s on this, and then there's some other boss fights in M0s where we've been even higher. Excuse me. Obviously, it's just an M0, but anyways, it gives you a idea of what the build can do. Okay, so while that is going on, let's talk about the warrior tree. So obviously we're putting points into both berserker stance and defensive stance, and let's go down the prot stance first. So we're going down here, we're just going to pick up Rallying Cry, a good group CD for Mythic Plus, and then we are going to, here we have Leeching Strikes, never hurts to have a little bit of healing. Auto attacks speed is increased, so that's going to help our fury generation. Then we are going to overwhelming rage, maximum rage increased by 30. So this is going to help us build our rage, and then for our dump. And then we also spec into sidearms, who are auto attacks have a 20% chance to hurl weapons at your target and 3 other enemies in front of you. So this is a nice little AoE buff. And then barbaric training, slam and whirlwind deal 20% increased damage and 10% increased critical strike. When we go down the pardon me, down the warrior, the berserker stance. Sorry, so we're taking berserker rage. That way we can get out of some fears and some, and stuff like that. Because there are a few different mobs that fear in the dungeon, so that will be handy. We're going to go with impending victory. Nice little heal as well as some damage, just in case we need to help the healer out during some intense damage phases. And proceeding onwards, we have fast footwork, so movement speed is increased by 5%. I guess I missed this one. So War Machine, our auto attacks generate 20% more rage, and killing an enemy instantly generates 5 rage and increases our movement speed by 30% for 8 seconds. That is just going to help with some mobility as well as a little bit of rage generation. We take Spell Reflect, a nice defensive, so we're going to, one, be able to reflect a lot of spells that we're going to encounter, as well as we have that 20% damage mitigation for 5 seconds. We're also going to be here, we have Frothing Berserker, where Rampage has a 20% chance to immediately refund 20% of the rage it's spent, helping us keep max rage for more Rampages. Heroic Leap for some mobility. Intimidating Shout, this is a group disorient fear, so this will help in case there's multiple casters we need to interrupt at all at once. Thinking Hall of Infusion, the expulses that go off, they are affected by that, so that would come in handy there. Also, in case your tank is about to go down, you need to just provide them a few seconds to resustain. That is also viable. We're also going to spec into Pain and Gain. So when we take any damage, we heal for 4.5% of our max health once every 10 seconds. We also have reinforced plates. So armor is increased by 20%, so we're going to take less physical damage. I'll just continue down here. Then we're going to armor to the teeth, 2 points. We're going to gain strength equal to 10% of our armor. So that's pretty handy there. Avatar, so transform into Colossus for 20 seconds, 20% increased damage while that's up. And then we're also going to take Titan's Torment. Activating Avatar causes Odyn's Fury. Activating Odyn's Fury casts Avatar at reduced effectiveness. So basically we're going to get prolonged Avatar time as well as a second dot from Odyn's Fury. Okay, so then here we are with from bounding from Heroic Leap. We got Bounding Stride, so reduce the cooldown, and it also increases our run speed for 3 seconds. Taking 2 charges for extra mobility in the Mythic Plus. And we got Wild Strike, so haste increased by 2%, and our auto attack critical strikes increase your auto speed by 20% for 10 seconds. Then we have Dragon's Roar, and then we have Thunderous Words, which increase the duration of the bleed effect and increases the damage of your bleed effects by 15% at all times. This works really well in conjunction with our Recklessness and Avatar, and it's a nice DPS AoE boost for Mythic Plus. Then we are going into dual wield specialization, increasing your damage while dual wielding. And then lastly, we have cruel strikes, which is critical strike chance increased by 2%, and critical strike damage of execute increased by 10%. Moving on to the Fury Tree. So, of course, we have Bloodthirst into Raging Blow. We're going to take Improved Enrage, so Enrage increases your haste and movement speed. We're going to have Enrage Regeneration for some survivability. Execute no longer costs rage and it now generates 20 rage. Then we have Improved Bloodthirst for more damage. War Paint, 10% reduced damage while enraged, and we're enraged pretty much all the time. And then Sudden Death, where our attacks have a chance to reset the cooldown on Execute, which is always handy. And then we have Focus and Chaos. While enraged, our auto attacks can no longer miss, so we're going to have constant rage generation. Rampage, so we enrage and we deal a series of 4 brutal strikes for 14k damage. Cruelty, while enraged, Raging Blow deals 15% increased damage and Annihilator deals 10% increased damage. So that is a big DPS boost there, because I think we're like, our enrage percentage with this build is very significant. So we're always going to basically have cruelty up with the extra damage there for our abilities. Now I'm just going to go straight down here rather than going left to right. So we also are going to use Cold Steel and Hot Blood. So Bloodthirst crits generate 4 additional rage and inflict a gushing wound. Then we have Bloodborne. Bleed damage of Odyn's Fury, Thunderous Roar, and Gushing Wound increased by 20%. So that means a crit off our Bloodthirst, as well as from Dragon Roar and our Odyn's Theory are going to deal more damage. Then what do we have here? Blood Craze. Bloodthirst increases our crit chance of Bloodthirst by 15%, stacking up 5 times. Okay, and then let's jump over to here. So we have Frenzy. So Rampage increases our haste by 2% for 12 seconds, stacking 4 times. This effect is reset if you rampage a different primary target. So if we spam rampages on multiple targets, that is going to reset. Then we're taking Recklessness, so we're going to go Berserk, increasing our rage gen by 100%, and our abilities have a 20% increased chance, critical strike chance for 12 seconds. So this is a minute and a half cooldown. Avatar is also a minute and a half, and Thunderous Roar is also a minute and a half. So we're going to use all those all at the same time. Swift Strike, we increase our haste by 2%. Raging Blow generates more rage, and Annihilator generates an additional 2 rage as well. So then here we are into Odyn's Fury. So this is 45-second cooldown, so we get to use it twice. We're going to use it once when we pop our Recklessness, Avatar, and our Dragon Roar. We're going to use it, and then halfway through we'll use it again, and very good synchronization. And then this one here, Titanic Rage, it deals 10% increased damage and grants you 4 stacks of Whirlwind, so we don't have to Whirlwind after to get our extra attacks on multiple targets. We're also going into Reckless Abandon, so it's going to generate more rage rather than reduce a cooldown because we need them all to sync up for maximum damage effectiveness. And then we have Unbridled Ferocity, so Rampage has a 20% chance to grant us 4 seconds of Recklessness. Then coming down this tree, so we are also going to have Ashen Juggernaut, which increases the critical strike chance of execute by 10% for 15 seconds, and that stacks. We have improved Whirlwind, so it causes our next 4 attacks to strike up to 4 additional targets. And then we have Meat Cleaver, where Whirlwind deals 25% more damage and now affects our 4 single target melee attacks instead of just the next 2. Massacre, so we can execute targets at 35%, and it reduces the cooldown by 1.5 seconds. Critical Thinking, critical strike chance increased by 2%, and Raging Blow and Annihilated damage. Crit strikes deal 10% more damage. And then Ravager, so throws a whirling weapon and it chases the nearby enemies, so if the pole is moving it will follow them. This is a nice bonus AoE. And then lastly we have Hurricane, so while it's active, almost every second you gain 5% boost speed and 5% strength, stacking up to 6 times and it lasts 6 seconds. So a nice DPS boost while you have Ravager running.
So now let's talk about our rotation. So as this is a Mythic Plus and 80% of a dungeon is going to be AoE, going to first cover our AoE rotation. So basically the way this is going to work is I'm going to use my Charge and Whirlwind macro to give me my buff of the Whirlwind stack so we can hit multiple targets right off the start. Then we're going to pop Ravager, Bloodthirst to get us enraged, Recklessness, and Avatar, which are macroed together because Avatar is off the GCD. And when we pop Avatar, it's going to apply a lesser dot of Odyn's Fury. And then we're going to use Thunderous Roar, followed by a Rampage and Raging Blow. Odyn's Fury, the dot lasts about 4 seconds. So by the time we do Thunderous Roar, Rampage, and Raging Blow, we'll be then able to cast Odyn's Fury and not clip the dot. So this is basically what it's going to look like. I'm going to charge in, Ravager into Bloodthirst, Avatar with Recklessness, Rampage, Raging Blow, and then I pop the Odyn's Fury, and we are off and running. And then basically the rotation becomes kind of like a priority sequence. So if we don't have the Whirlwind buff, then we Whirlwind. If we do have the Whirlwind buff, then it is Execute, then Rampage. And then if we are enraged, then we go Raging Blow. If we're not enraged, then we do Bloodthirst. Excuse me, pardon me, sorry. And then as a filler, we will be just doing Whirlwind to generate rage until one of our other abilities come off CD or a proc. And that's just as a filler. That's not counting when we need the Whirlwind in order to keep our Whirlwind buff active. And so that's basically it. So I got a little bit distracted partway through. So about 45 seconds in, only against 3 targets, we were about 60k on our burst open. I think we were about 110k there. So most packs in a Mythic Plus dungeon are going to be between 5 and 8. And when that happens, I usually maintain around 100, between 100k and 140k on the pull. Okay, for our single target rotation, it is pretty much the same thing, just a slight difference. So instead of whirlwinding to keep the buff up, we basically are only going to whirlwind as a filler. So for me, I'm going to charge in. I have my charge and whirlwind are macros, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to have the whirlwind come in as I do that, but then I'm going to go Ravager, Bloodthirst, Reckless, and Avatar at the same time, which is going to proc the Odyn's Fury dot. Then we're going to Thunderous Roar, Rampage, Raging Blow, and then we're going to do Odyn's Fury. That way, that gives us enough time that we're not going to clip the dot again. And then from a priority standpoint, we're just going to execute Rampage. If enraged, Raging Blow. If not enraged, Bloodthirst. And then when we have everything else is on CD or we don't have a proc, then we're going to use Whirlwind as a filler. So for that, I'm just going to pick on this guy here. Get rid of that. And yeah, so then it's just going to look like this. And yep, so here we are. We're just basically now it's just execute, rampage, raging blow if not if enraged, if not bloodthirst, and that is all we're going to do. So as you can see, up here's our first whirlwind filler, and then back into our priority rotation based on our procs and all that, and that's basically all there is to it. Now we're doing about 35k right now, and this is with only our own personal buff, no heroism. I haven't even used one of my trinkets yet. So it is pretty solid there. Okay, so I'm just going to stop that because it's basically the same thing. We're just coming up to another Odin's Fury because about 45 seconds after open, we get to use our second one, and it's going to come back up again within a line with our minute and a half CDs, and then we just rinse and repeat.
So this is going to bring us to the end of the video. Fury Warrior is a lot of fun. We bring a lot to the group. We have some great utility with our movement. We bring Rallying Cry, Spell Reflect. There's a lot of cool things that we can do with all our utility that is available to us. Our damage for AoE is phenomenal. Our single target is also really, really strong. It's going to be, I believe, a good time to be Fury. We're not suffering at all. I've been really enjoying this build. I love just crushing the meters. So far in just M0s, I've been about 5 or 6k ahead of everybody else by the end of the dungeon. We do suffer a little bit on the single target, but we more than make up for it with our AoE abilities. I'm going to stop rambling here. If you have any questions about the build, please let me know below. Be happy to answer them. I'm going to drop all the macros that I use into the description as well. As always, you can come find me on Twitch. That'll be in the description. And also, we appreciate likes, shares, and subscribe. So please click those buttons and keep coming back. We're going to have multiple guides for Dragonflight as well as some gameplay. So until next time, I hope you're enjoying Dragonflight, and we hope to see you around. Have a good one.